In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the passenger side fuel sending unit located right underneath your back seat. Now inside the trunk here, you want to go ahead and grab this pull here and open this up. This is going to expose the battery, and on the inside there's going to be the fuse box and relays. You want to go ahead and get to your fuse box here. On the side of the fuse box is a little spring clip. You're just going to push it on that, pop up that cover, set it aside. Now on the far right side, you're going to see 3 relays shaped in the form of an L. There's going to be 1 on the top, 2 on the bottom closest to you, side by side. You want to remove the relay that is to the far right, right here, for your fuel pump relay. Once you have this out, now you want to go ahead, hop into the vehicle, crank up the vehicle, let it run until it dies. At that point there, you can come on back here, disconnect your battery. We're going to use our 10mm wrench, and we're going to loosen the nut on our ground terminal here. Once you have that loose, we're going to spin that and disconnect it. I'm going to come on over to the positive side. We're going to do the same here. On the back seat of the vehicle, you want to come on over to the passenger side, and right where this seam is here, you're going to go ahead and reach underneath the front side between the seat and the carpet and give it a quick little tug. Going to dislodge the seat. We're going to go ahead and do the same on the driver's side. Once those are unlocked, go ahead and pull the seat cushion and remove that from the vehicle. Now on the driver's side here, this flap would normally be tucked down. Ours was kind of folded up and out of the way. It's going to give you access to the top cover here and a wire harness. What we want to do is go ahead and grab this cover here. If you can't grab it with your fingers, we're going to go ahead and grab a pry tool and pop that up, but we're able to get our fingers in there, pull this up and over. And what this is going to do is expose the top of our fuel pump unit. There's an electrical connector right on the top. You're going to want to go ahead and press down on this little clip and pull that connector off. So let's go ahead and disconnect our connector and press down on that little tab, and we're going to wiggle this off. Pop that off. Just kind of tuck that aside for now. Now we are going to be removing the fuel pump unit here. We're going to have to remove this lock ring, but we do have some debris around here we do not want to get inside of our tank. So what you want to do is, in our case, we're going to use our blowgun and clean all the debris out of here. If you have a vacuum or something, you go ahead and try and clean it up like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use a brass punch here, and we're going to go on the outer side of this lock ring. There's little notches along the perimeter, and we're going to go ahead and turn this counterclockwise. We want this lock ring to slide down, so we can go ahead and pop that up and off. Let's go ahead and try and loosen this. You can see it starting to move. We have a little bit of space between the lock ring here. So we'll keep on doing this until we can get that lock ring completely spun around there. It's not that lock ring is loose. Go ahead and lift that up and out. You want to definitely double check for any more debris that is underneath that lock ring. We do have a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and bring our air hose back and blow that off one more time. Our next step before we open this up, I want to go ahead and grab a drain bucket, because when we pull this out, there's going to be gasoline. We don't want to drag that onto the carpet or spill it anywhere else. So grab a bucket and let's continue. Now we did go ahead and take some precautions. We put some extra drip towels around the edge here. Good, grab this unit and just give it a little wiggle, work this up. Now it is spring loaded. As you pop that up, it is going to push itself up, and that is going to expose the bottom half of our fuel pump unit. And go ahead and separate the top half of your fuel pump unit. We'll pull those rods out. On the bottom side here, there are 2 little connectors. Just going to press in on the little spring tab on the side. Go ahead and separate those connectors. Use a little pick or screwdriver if you need to. Now this isn't fully necessary, but it is making it a lot easier to work on the lower portion of the unit. Now at this point, you want to go ahead and disconnect these 3 fuel lines here. On the main line here, going down to the fuel pump, there is a little clip, and I'm going to use a small pick here, and what you want to do is on the side of it, you're going to push in on this little clip. When you push in, it's going to release the lock, and then you can pull up on that line. So push in on that, and then pull up. So I ended up using our pliers here to go ahead and pinch on that clip and pull up on that unit. Now at this point here, we're going to take our main fuel line. We can just tuck that off to the side. We're not going to need to deal with that right now. Next, what we want to do is disconnect these 2 lines here. What we literally want to do is just kind of pop these out of these clips. And I'm just going to use my screwdriver to go ahead and open up that little clip there and wiggle that hose out like so. Do the same for the little one. Open up that retaining lock and just pull that. All right. Gonna go ahead and grab that pump with the sending unit. I'm gonna lift this up. Now keep in mind, this is loaded with gasoline. Bring your catch can up. I'm just going to use some towels here to clean up some of that residual gasoline that dribbled out. Now on the passenger side here, underneath here is going to be where the passenger side fuel sending unit is located. Now if you lift this up a little bit, you're going to be able to identify where that cover is. Like on the driver's side from the factory, they have this split on each side. We're going to go ahead and do the same. We're just going to simply grab a razor blade. I'm going to do a nice clean cut right on through. Being careful to pay attention what is underneath, because there's wires underneath here. So be careful when doing so. I'm going to go ahead and tuck this piece up. Right here is where we want to gain access to. Go ahead and grab the side of this cover. Pop that up. That's going to give us access to our fuel sending unit. Now we have a fuel line coming to the top of the unit here. On the top right here is a little blue locking clip. Now there's a lock on each side. There's one on the bottom side here. You have a little bit of flexibility here. What we're going to do is we want to go ahead and press down on this here, but we also have to do it on the other side. In order to do so, we're going to use this pick, put it up underneath the bottom side. We're going to bring that clip up. I'm going to use another pick here, push down on here, and just go ahead and slide that off. Make sure at this point here you're wearing safety glasses. We did depressurize the fuel system before doing this, but if there is any excess pressure in here, it may squirt out. Be careful. Disconnect your line, and you can see there's a little bit of residual fuel in there. We're simply going to grab a little towel here, set that down around here, and slowly release this here to catch any of that fuel. Go ahead and work that line off, and go ahead and tuck that aside for now. Go ahead and remove that rag. Go ahead and grab a towel, wipe up any residual fuel that might be resting on the back side of that tank. Let that soak up anything that is sitting on the top of the sending unit. It's also going to be super helpful to make sure you're in a well-ventilated area when doing this job. On the top of this unit here, there is a locking collar. We need to go ahead and loosen that counterclockwise. In order to do this here, we're going to use a brass punch. And there are notches on the outside perimeter of this locking collar. We're going to use our brass punch and go ahead and tap this so that it unlocks from the sending unit. We now have that locking collar dislodged. So go ahead and work this up and set that aside. Now before we open this up to the fuel tank itself, we do have some debris around here. I'm going to go ahead and use my blowgun. If you have a vacuum, you can go ahead and clean it up. We want to try and prevent any debris from falling inside the tank. I'm going to go ahead and cover this fuel line here. Hold this up and I'm going to clean this off. With that clean, we can go ahead and grab that sending unit and we're going to get underneath here and gently lift this upward. Now as you lift this up, you may see a seal. That is a unit to seal up that unit to the tank. So we've gone ahead and we put down some drip mats here because as we pull this out, it's going to pull the fuel lines from the driver's side all the way across. We need to pull it all out as one component. So have your catch can on the side ready to go. Work this up. Now you're going to have a sending unit float also attached to this. Go ahead and bring the old octopus out here, drain out that fuel into the tank. And our tank is pretty empty. We can actually see the bottom of the tank. Go ahead and put this into your catch can. Now when we install our passenger side sending unit, we need to feed the fuel lines down inside the tank. I'm going to take you down inside. And they're going to have to get fed through that hole right there. Before we install our new unit, go ahead and remove the O-ring. I'm going to go ahead and replace that. Place the new O-ring down onto the top of the tank here. Go ahead and feed your fuel lines down inside. As you bring that around, you want to get your float into the tank as well. Move that fuel line aside. Lower this down. Make sure that O-ring is lined up properly. Now the lower unit is spring loaded, so you can go ahead and line that up. Twist this unit around, push that down. You want to go ahead and get your lock ring installed. Once you have that lock ring lined up on here, we're going to go ahead and use our brass punch and lock that into place. Go ahead and pop off this little blue clip off of the old sending unit, just using your pick to lift up on these little tabs. Pop that off. Remove this yellow cap here, dispose of that. Take your locking collar, just push that into place, and bring your fuel line over. I'm going to press this on and lock this on. I'm going to make sure that the little spring locks themselves line up with the tabs on the fuel line itself. Push that on and you'll hear that lock into place. Grab your protective cap, press that in, pop that on. You can now go ahead and dispose of your protective covers here. Bring down that flap. You're all set. Now on the top here, we're going to go ahead and carefully remove our old O-ring. Dispose of that. You want to make sure that the portion where the O-ring sits is in good condition and clean. Set your new O-ring in. And we have our fuel pump module right here. We need to reach on in and we're going to grab the hoses here. Now I did put my hand in the gasoline, that's why I'm wearing a glove. I want to have these things ready to go. At this point here, we have two portions here. We have the small line that needs to snap in place here, large line here. Fuel line with the clip goes on the top right here. Let's go ahead, we're going to set this down inside the tank. We're just basically lining up the fuel line with these little tabs. And there's a little space right here with a collar on the end. You simply line that up and push it down into place. Both of those are clipped in. Let's install our main fuel line here. Press that down into place. You can hear that clip lock in once it's fully seated. Now when we install this here, when we install the lid, the posts are at an angle. The connector needs to be facing towards the front and this tab facing the back of the driver's seat. So what we're going to do, get our fuel pump sending unit in its general direction here where it needs to go. And go ahead and pull this line up here, this wire. And what I'm going to do is try and get these posts lined up in our fuel pump sending unit. We can line up our connector on the bottom here. You press it up through the bottom, do the same for this here. You install these here, the clips go on the outside, same on the other connector in there. All right, both connectors are snapped on. Tuck our wires down inside. Make sure that O-ring is seated. And go ahead and lower this unit down into place. Now it is spring loaded, so you want to pay attention to that. So once we have that seated, grab your lock ring. And go ahead and line that up and just kind of give that lock ring just a little push down and twist so we can go ahead and catch that. All right, now that we have our lock ring caught just a tiny bit, let's go ahead and grab our brass punch and our hammer. And let's go ahead and continue to seat this. Want to continue doing this until the lock tab is completely seated. So now that we have our lock ring fully seated on there. We can go ahead and remove our precaution towels here. I'm going to go ahead and line that up. Push that on, you'll hear it click. And go ahead and pull your flap down. Go ahead and slide your seat bottom back into place. Get all your seat belts up where they need to go into those notches. Once that's pushed back, you should be able to go ahead and push down on the seat. Snap that into place, repeat for the driver's side. Now on the back of the car, go ahead and install your fuel pump relay. Install the fuse box cover. At this point here, we're going to reconnect our battery, lower the cover, and we'll start up the vehicle. Let's go ahead and reconnect our battery here. Install the positive terminal here. Let's go ahead and tighten that down. And once you have that good and tight, go ahead and install your ground terminal. We'll do the same for this. At that point there, we can go ahead and close down our cover here, and you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.